In the course of a season of football takes many twists and turns. For the 1977 Colts, a supreme irony was they played one of their greatest games ever, yet still lost to Oakland in the playoffs. Both teams fenced for the first 11 minutes. Then the touchdown barrage began. Bruce Laird's 61-yard interception return signaled Baltimore's first scoring salvo as the Colts and Raiders traded touchdowns 9 different times. The longest score came on an 87-yard kickoff return by Marshall Johnson. Johnson got perfect protection from his blocking wedge, then easily turned the corner untouched. The largest home crowd of the season witnessed a true football masterpiece, a game that will enter the record books as a classic in NFL history, as the lead seesawed back and forth at a furious pace. With less than 10 minutes remaining, the Colts, led by Burt Jones, drove frantically to their final touchdown. "73 yards later, fullback Ron Lee ripped through the Raiders' defense and gave his team the lead with 3 minutes left. It appeared the Colts had iced the game. But with time winding down, the defending Super Bowl champions came winging back on the accurate left arm of Ken Stabler. With 26 seconds showing, Earl Mann's field goal tied the game at 31 points apiece and sent it into overtime. In sudden death, the Colts won the all-important coin toss, but were unable to move the ball. With 43 seconds elapsed in a second overtime period, Oakland ended the marathon. For the third straight season, Baltimore had won the Eastern title only to be eliminated in the playoffs. But it took an unforgettable game, the third longest ever played, the fitting climax to a season that earlier had been immortalized when Baltimore's greatest football legend was honored.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the dugout, John Constantine Unitas.
They're on their feet, and you want to hear an ovation. Tune into this for John Unitas. John acknowledges the crowd, and I'm sure we'll get a few remarks. And if I know Unitas, there'll be a very few remarks. He has never been a loquacious man, never been a wordy man. He speaks straight from the shoulder, says exactly what he means in no uncertain terms.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I want you to know that I accept this on behalf of everyone who's ever put a football uniform on for the Baltimore Colts organization. Thank you for letting me share in a part of your life every Sunday afternoon, and thank you for sharing an important part of my life.
When John Unitas' number 19 became the 7th Colt jersey to be retired, it triggered a flashback to the old days in Baltimore, when sellout crowds came to root for winning football teams. For in 1977, their silver anniversary year, Baltimore treated its fans to a return to the golden days of Colt football when the team was one of the most exciting in the NFL. For the Baltimore Colts, 1977 was a trip down memory lane, a return to the great and glory days of the past. The season opener was in Seattle's Kingdome, where Baltimore won with a blend of basic football and the big play. The bomb was provided by the explosive partnership of Burt Jones to Roger Carr as the Colts rolled up 426 yards. But this initial victory of the season would be the last time the offense would function as a whole. For Roger Carr soon suffered a debilitating knee injury and wouldn't approach duplicating his game-breaking exploits of the past 2 years. In the second game, Don McCauley scored twice as the Colts easily defeated the New York Jets. The next week, in the home opener, Baltimore, led by fullback Ron Lee, ran over the Buffalo Bills for victory number 3. Seven days later, on the first play from scrimmage, Lydell Mitchell slipped through the Dolphins' defense and patiently followed his blockers for a 64-yard touchdown. With only 26 seconds elapsed in the game, Miami came roaring right back when Fred Solomon returned the kickoff 90 yards. This was the catalyst for 4 first-half Dolphin touchdowns, and it appeared to everyone that the Colts were about to be blown out of the stadium by their arch-rivals from Miami. But Burt Jones and company struck for 2 quick touchdowns to Raymond Chester and Glenn Dowdy, and Baltimore pulled to within 4 points of Miami at the end of the first half. In the second half, the Colt defense rose up and struck down the Dolphin attack. Bob Greasy was pummeled and sacked time after time by a raging band in blue that shut out Miami for the rest of the game. Meanwhile, the Colt attack rode the red-hot right arm of Burt Jones to 4 more touchdowns as the offense, with all facets in high gear, enjoyed its most productive day of the season. The Colts missed a clutch. Don McCauley scored the final touchdown on one of the 51 catches he would make for the year. And Baltimore had completed its incredible comeback. In the 45-point assault on the Dolphins and ex-coach Don Shula, Ted Marchibroda's men appeared to reach a peak they wouldn't approach again until the final week of the season. For from the flurry of points against Miami, Baltimore had to struggle to score only 17 in Kansas City. The team won its 5th straight, mainly on the running of Ron Lee and Don McCauley, who scored twice. It gave the former #1 draft pick from North Carolina a total of 7 touchdowns in just 5 games. After the squeaker in Kansas City, the offense completely broke down in New England, and the Colts were dealt their first defeat of the season, 17-3. But Baltimore bounced back against Pittsburgh. From the game's first play, the passing attack was off to a flying start. as the Colts ran and passed their way to a big victory over the Steelers. For Ted Marchibroda and every man on the roster, it was sweet revenge for two previous playoff defeats. On a wet Monday night in Memorial Stadium, despite weather that resembled a monsoon, nearly 58,000 braved the conditions to greet their neighbors from Washington. Freddie Scott scored the only touchdown of the evening in the Colts' 10-3 win, their 7th in 8 games. Baltimore next bumped heads with the Bills. With the return of John Dutton and Joe Ehrman, the Colts' famed sack pack was intact for the first time. Joe Ferguson suffered the consequences as Dutton, Ehrman, Fred Cook, and NFL Defensive Lineman of the Year Mike Barnes buried the Bill quarterback 10 times. Led by Burt Jones, the offense rolled up 31 points in this, the 8th Baltimore victory against only a single defeat. His 5th season as a pro, Burt Jones became the 2nd player in Colt history, behind John Unitas, to surpass 10,000 yards passing. Indeed, the following Sunday, B.J. continued his hot hand, hitting 23 of 36 for well over 300 yards in a rout of the New York Jets. In this game, Lydell Mitchell topped the 1,000-yard mark for the 3rd straight year, and in the midst of his greatest season, passed Lenny Moore as the all-time leading Colt runner. Despite the individual brilliance of Lydell Mitchell and Burt Jones, the Colts' offense was hampered all year by the ailing knee of Roger Carr. His blazing sprinter's speed was gone, and with it went the Colts' signature on offense, the long bomb. The dangerous Carr scored 11 touchdowns in 1976, only 1 in 1977. Despite this huge handicap, Baltimore was productive enough to rank 3rd in total offense. Burt Jones again was the most coveted natural talent in the NFL, while Lydell Mitchell led the team in rushing and receiving for the 4th straight season. His 71 receptions, the most in the NFL. The offensive line, a towering team strength, consisted of tackles David Taylor, number 64, and All-Pro George Coons, number 75, along with Elmer Collette, Ken Huff, and Robert Pratt at the guards, and Ken Mendenhall at center. But it doesn't end there. For under Ted Marchibroda's team-oriented system, everyone on offense blocks, and blocks well. A standout on defense was number 53, Stan White, who led all linebackers in the league with 7 interceptions and was 2nd on the team in tackles. The biggest surprise was turned in by a free agent, Lyle Blackwood, number 44, who led the entire league in interceptions with 10, helping the Colts rank 2nd overall with 30. A hefty improvement in this important defensive category. In a meeting between the two teams with the best records in football, the Colts traveled to Denver for a shootout with the sky-high Broncos. In the 3rd period, Lydell Mitchell squirmed through the Orange Crush defense for a score. But it was Baltimore's only touchdown of the day, and the Colts suffered their 2nd setback of the season. Next, a Monday night rematch with the Dolphins in a fight for first that was a must for Miami. A loss would eliminate the Dolphins from the race. Thus, the Colts had control of their own destiny. But Baltimore errors, like this costly end zone fumble by Roosevelt Leaks, handed Miami the game. Baltimore managed merely 6 points in their second straight loss and were now tied for first place. Instead of a commanding lead in their division, a dogfight had developed among the Colts, Dolphins, and Patriots. In the season's next to last week, Miami lost to New England, and the Colts had a new life. But against Detroit for the third straight week, the Colts were impotent on offense. They didn't get into the end zone until less than 5 minutes remained in the game. Still, Baltimore led 10-7 and only had to hang on for minutes. But incredibly, with 9 seconds showing, David Lee's punt was blocked. It was the last play of the game. Baltimore was defeated for the third straight time. And with an offense that had completely disappeared, and New England next in line, it appeared the Colts' once certain trip to the playoffs was about to be canceled.
At safety, number 44, Lyle Blackwood.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Baltimore Colt football. This is Chuck Thompson along with Vince Bagley at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, and this is the Sunday. This is the day that will make or break the Baltimore Colts year.
If they can handle New England, they deserve to be champions. If they cannot handle New England, they will not be champions.
Referee Pat Silva.
And the toss of the coin has just been taken care of out of the playing field, and we're about ready to go.
It was a game Coach Ted Marchibroda termed a regular season Super Bowl. But the offensive ineptness of the previous 3 weeks continued. Down 2 touchdowns to none as the second half began, things soon got even worse, and the Colts found themselves in a nearly impossible catch-up situation.
New England now has a 21-3 lead over the Baltimore Colts and just ripped off a 100-yard kickoff return.
Exact things were probably never darker than right now, but I tell you, if they can come on down and score now, they're still in the game.
New England now 21, the Baltimore Colts 3, and if the Colts want a championship in the National Football League this year, they are going to have to do a lot of work in very little time. Come on! This is the game. This is the moment. The time is now.
The Colts' first sustained drive in 4 games ended with a Burt Jones pass to Glenn Dowdy.
And he's in for the touchdown.
I'll tell you, that's soon enough to make it a football game. They had to get one quickly to have any shot, and maybe this will mean something.
Get in there!
Blow him out now. Come on, blow him out.
Third and 18 from the 22. Here comes a blitz. They picked it up now. Another blitz. Jones throws down the middle. Chester to the 20, Chester to the 10, to the 5, scores!
Give them credit, brother. They're not out of this game. Now it's 24-17 on an 82-yard play.
Double flankers wide to the right side. Jones yanks away, play action fake, wants to throw, has a block, now fires, end zone. Touchdown, Scott! Touchdown for Freddie Scott!
Oh, my.
Now just 1 point behind after the flurry of touchdowns, the Colts' epic comeback was dealt a critical blow.
And Blackwood is going to have to let it roll. It takes a New England bounce and is going deep to the Baltimore 10, to the 5, to the 2, and they down it in the 1. That ball took magical bounces for 20 yards down the near sideline to the Baltimore Colt 1-yard line. Does that psych up a defensive unit? Does it ever psych them up? Lydell Mitchell and Roosevelt Leaks, the running backs from the 1-yard line. Jones is going to throw out of the end zone. Sets up, fakes once, now fires deep. Dowdy. He's got it!
Oh, my. What a great catch, too. He had a...
In this 99-yard drive, the longest in Colt history, 4 third-down situations were converted as Baltimore reached the New England 6. Then, on the most controversial play of the year, Burt Jones seemed to fumble the ball away. The officials ruled the whistle had blown, and the Colt comeback continued.
We have that clock running with 4:15. A point behind. What a thriller.
Oh, what a football game. What a second half of football. 3rd and goal, Baltimore at the New England 3. Double tight end offense. Jones gives it to McCauley, right side, dive, and he's got it.
He's got it.
He scores. McCauley has scored, and the Colts go ahead. Looks directed toward that clock. New England's got the football in good field position.
55 yards away from the goal line, New England.
Colts 30, New England 24. Grogan is back to throw out a play action, plenty of time. Upfield, and it's intercepted by Norm Thompson. To the 45, to midfield, and down he goes. 42,250 have witnessed one of the most exciting football games a spectator could see. 1 minute, 35 seconds.
Make it here, they win it.
If they can make it here. Leaks and McCauley, the running backs. Leaks is through the middle and open. Down to the New England 30, to the New England 20, to the 15, to the 10 goes Roosevelt Leaks.
Oh, man. Chuck, how about that? Of all the guys in the world.
They ought to give him, and they are. They're giving Roosevelt a standing ovation.
Oh, man. You talk about gutsy play. There's a guy who's fumbled going in the end zone the last 2 games. He's been the #1 goat around here. What a comeback.
This club will have one of the great ovations in recent years. New England just played their hearts out, but the Colts have won the game. It is all over. Baltimore's Memorial Stadium is an outdoor insane asylum. Joy rebounding all over the stadium. People are standing in the upper deck. They don't want to go anywhere. They're down on the playing field milling around. Memorial Stadium rockets. The great cheers for a deserving, very courageous, and most importantly, victorious Baltimore Colt football team. They got up off the deck and have put on one of the stunning comebacks of all time in Baltimore Colt football history.